It's Wednesday. There's a lot to talk about. There have been so many motions filed in the last 24 hours in the Britney Spears conservatorship. So we are calling for a special hearing of the law nerds. I am calling us to order. Tonight on the docket, we are going to be talking about new motions filed by Lynn Spears, Sam Ingham's motion to resign as counsel. Y'all know how I felt about that when the news broke yesterday. And a couple of new motions filed by Jodi Montgomery. The court has been actively squashing media requests to record. There is a lot to talk about. And I was going to just cover the Ingham stuff in a quick YouTube short, but so much has happened that there is no way we can just cover it in a short because there is so many. So I'm going to do a quick road so far of all the shit that's popped off in July. It's only the 7th, literally WTF. And then everything we're covering tonight. It is a busy night. I appreciate you. Replay crew, there will be timestamps down below based on who filed the motion. That's the easiest way to break it down, and that's the easiest way for us to keep track of what's happening. It's just so much. It's just so much. We should get into it. I will be sweeping super chats before we get into Q&A, and then during Q&A. This is wild stuff that's happening. I have not seen, well, no, I can't say I've not seen this many motions filed because the Girardi bankruptcies are doing this many motions too. So it's busy. We're going to be talking about that on Friday because there's been quite a lot going on over there as well. But I will talk about it on social and we will talk about it on Friday. Tonight, we are here, all Britney. That's what we're talking about. Let's get into the absolute DEFCON magenta that we have walked into for today because it's on. Hey there. If we haven't met yet, I'm Emily D. Baker, the badass lawyer and everyone's favorite legal commentator. I'm the host of The Emily Show, and I break down the legal shit behind the news and pop culture stories we all want to talk about. I have been a licensed attorney for over 15 years, but this is not legal advice. I should warn you, I'm a big fan of the cursey words. This channel is where the law nerds unite to talk about facts, not fuckery. Rena, you are welcome for the ongoing coverage. It has been busy stuff, but there's a lot happening in court. I don't know if everybody's just trying to get legal fees in before this conservatorship goes down in flames. I don't think that's it. I'm joking. I will tell you when I'm being sarcastic because there's a lot that has happened. So let's do a quick road so far. Since Britney testified in court on June 23rd, everything has popped off. Her father was the first one to file a motion in court with regard to what Britney said. And her dad filed a motion saying, we should probably have an investigation. But then the rest of it was like PR bullshit, my opinion. So, I'm sure it has some legal purpose in the motion, but it was Britney's daddy loves her, never has any place in a motion for me. So that motion was an objection to Sam Ingham's motion to appoint Jodi Montgomery as the permanent conservator of Britney's person. There's a conservatorship over her person and a conservatorship over her finances, her estate, her money and business and stuff. The conservator of the person had been Dad Spears. And because between Jamie Spears and Jodi Ingham and Lynn Spears and Jamie Lynn Spears, I'm going to just Mom Spears, Dad Spears, and then the lawyers and the other people are going by their names. So Dad Spears filed that motion to object to Jodi being appointed as the permanent conservator of the person. She's still the temporary one filling in for Dad Spears. He stepped down in 2019. He asked for a evidentiary hearing. That means a hearing where people are put under oath and questions are asked to figure out WTF is happening in this conservatorship based on Britney's statements in court June 23rd. Most of the legal stuff that has happened is because Britney spoke. So if anybody's wondering, hey, did Britney's words have effect? Yes, Britney's words had substantial effect, and we are seeing it play out in court. So Dad made the motion. with the PR stuff, but also asking for that evidentiary hearing. The next day, the court granted the motion, and an evidentiary hearing will be held on June 14th, along with literally everything else. There were motions that were supposed to be on the docket in April that got pushed because Britney asked to speak to the court. That happened in June. Stuff got pushed over. So there are financial hearings on the docket on June 14th. And there's also all these other hearings. So everything that's getting filed now, Judge Penny is like, we'll do it the 14th. We'll do it the 14th. We'll do it the 14th. So everything's getting pushed onto June 14th. So whatever gets filed between then and now, we are going to see the court, I think, push it to that June 14th hearing. People are asking for ex-parte hearings, meaning one-party hearings, meaning the party that files gets to talk to the court without the other party being present. And the court is pushing everything to the 14th. The 14th is going to be a very interesting day because there is Ingham's motion will now be on the 14th, motion to resign. Bessemer Trust motion to resign will be on the 14th. We're going to see if the court pushes these Jodi Montgomery motions that just got filed today to the 14th. That could still happen before the end of stream. I'll check back in with the court before we finish up this stream tonight. It's still early in the West. And still we have the objections to some of the money Dad Spears's lawyers have spent, that $800,000 in the billing period with some of this PR type funds being spent. That objection is still on the docket. Appointing Jodi Montgomery as permanent conservator of the estate is still on the docket. We've got motions with receipts and with text messages in here. Today is going to be wild. The 14th is going to be wild. So the court grants Dad's evidentiary hearing for July 14th. That means people can come in and give testimony, including Britney. Then on July 6th, media requests were submitted. Those have been denied. On July 6th, Bessemer Trust, my tongue is already like, what are we doing? Bessemer Trust has already filed their motion for resignation. That's been bumped to the 14th. Then Sam Ingham filed to resign along with Loeb & Loeb, which is their private litigation firm that's working with Sam Ingham. That's going to be heard on the 14th. Now there's these additional motions that we're talking about. And yes, if you see me looking down, I have a bunch of notes because a lot has happened in a very short amount of time. So your girl needs notes this evening or we're going to get stuff out of order. So then also on the 6th, Lynn Spears filed a petition to appoint private counsel or to hire private counsel on behalf of Britney as an interested party. So we're going to go over that tonight. The court has not pushed that to the 14th yet, but guess what's going to happen? It's going to get heard on the 14th. And then Jodi Montgomery has filed 2 motions and those are going to get heard on when? On the 14th. So we have a little bit of a poll running. Now that you know what some of these motions are, go ahead and vote in that poll. It's pinned to the chat, and I will go ahead and end that poll in a minute so that you guys can all get your votes in for what you're most excited to hear about this evening. I didn't know I could do that until I was streaming with vidIQ today, and I was very excited to learn I can do polls. So it's fancy. If you're on Facebook, I'm sorry, we can't do as many fun things on Facebook as we can on the YouTubes. So go ahead and do that. I'm going to end that poll in just a moment. Thank you for coming in. Let's see where you guys are coming in from. I saw a few of them. Adriana said, oh my God, I actually caught a live. This whole Britney mess is making me sad for her. Same. I hope she can get proper representation now that her lawyer quit. Well, he's not out yet. We're going to talk about that in a minute. I was such a fan of Britney when I was a kid. I'm still a fan of Britney. I love Britney. I grew up, bemoaning the size of the pants that happened with Britney and like Christina, like the ultra low rise. Like, it's just, I don't know how these women did it. I guess it's because they were still almost teens. So we will get there. Good to see everybody coming in. Nashville, Chicago, Louisiana, Holland, Reno, Nevada. Hello, Sydney, Australia. I saw you. Montreal, Memphis. What's up, Jersey, Alabama, Oklahoma, Florida, Washington State, lovely Pacific Northwest. Hello, Paul Peck. Are you not sick of me yet today? Jen, hello. Maryland, hello. It's good to see all you coming in. All right, I'm going to end this poll. I was very excited I could learn to do it. So you guys seem to be most interested in Lynn's motions. And let's see, with over 2,000 votes, You were interested in Britney's mom's motions, then Ingham's resignation, then Jodi Montgomery's motions. So guess what, y'all? That's the order we're going to go in tonight. Thank you for setting the order. I'm going to start doing a poll for topics because it just feels like a really good way to do it. So thank you, thank you, thank you. Before we jump into topics, which I'm just about to do, remember, there are a few things that we do not know. First of all, those of you that are just finding the channel with regard to this topic and regard to Britney Spears, thank you. I'm Emily D. Baker. I curse a lot, and we believe in facts, not fuckery. So we get into the facts of these legal proceedings and these legal filings. We do not get into the stuff that we do not know. That includes any mental health diagnosis that pertain to Britney Spears. A, I believe that she deserves some privacy around that, and B, that information has not been made publicly available. The judges and previous judge, this judge, and the family law judge, the judges, there are properly multiple judges. The judges in this case know more than we do. The lawyers in this case know more than we do, and that is okay. But with that, we are not speculating on what's the underlying cause here. We are getting into what these motions are. So thank you, thank you, thank you. It looks like England won the football match, so go England. I think they beat Denmark, correct? If I'm correct. I don't know if I am, but I think so. So thank you guys in the chat for being respectful. We are here to figure out the legal motions and to see what is actually happening in this case, not to judge or, armchair quarterback Britney's mental health. The conservatorship should always be the least restrictive means necessary. It seems that Britney feels that this is no longer the least restrictive means necessary, and that is my focus in looking at these motions. I also don't like some of the things I've seen. So because of the poll, we're going to do Lynn's motion first, then we're going to do Ingham's resignation, and then we're going to do the motion by Sam. The motion by Jodi Montgomery. Let me turn my computer down. My back end StreamYard has frozen. So it's going to take me a minute to unfreeze that and see the chat. And for everybody else, I said I would be getting down. I will be getting to the super chats. Thank you for the super chat, Tia. I will be sweeping all of those once we get out of there. And I saw Lynn say, James, Dad Spears is fair game, though. No, here's part of the thing that's bothering me about this case is the amount of death threats that are surrounding parties involved in this case. It's not going to help. It is going to make the judge more protective of Britney. So that is always concerning to me as well as we get through this. So let's go ahead and pull up, what did I say we were doing first? Mom's motion. So we're going to do Lynn Spears' motion for permission for Britney to hire private counsel. This is because Sam Ingham has filed a petition, and we'll get to Ingham second. We're going to do these a little backwards because we voted. That's what we're doing. We're honoring the vote. Sam Ingham has asked to resign and have a new court-appointed attorney represent Britney. We will break that down in a minute, but first we're going to get into what Lynn had to say. Oh, thank you, Raneem. Love from Kuwait, much appreciated. We did dinged. I don't know when we dinged. Sometime this morning, I think. I missed the ding. I didn't even get to hear the ding. But it did. We hit 140K. Should we ding? Should we do it? It binged? I think we should. Let's just do it. It banged. We're going to celebrate, and then we're going to get into this motion from Lynn Spears. Oh, it banged! Move your head! Ah! And now that I have purple hair, I feel like I just need to update everything. Like all of the things. They all need to be updated. All right, let's swoop into this topic and get into it. Lynn Spears, through her attorneys, has filed a motion or a petition for permission for Britney to hire private legal counsel. So this is something that has been widely asked for. It is something that is highly controversial. Why is Britney paying, like in some instances, $800,000 over like a 3-month period for Dad Spears' lawyers? And she has a court-appointed attorney that she has not gotten to choose. Early in this conservatorship, she asked to hire private counsel. She was denied by the court. I still have questions about what went down there. There have been motions in the past, like years and years past, where Britney's court-appointed attorney asked for her to have the right to hire private counsel. The conservatorship attorneys, at that time just James Spears' attorneys, Dad Spears' attorneys, objected, saying Britney did not have the mental capacity to hire her own counsel. I think it would be a very drastic situation if someone can lack capacity to maybe testify, but for somebody to lack capacity to hire their own counsel in a supervised way with the court also looking out for them seems drastic to me. So let's get into what Lynn Spears, through her attorneys, is asking the court for. This is per the ex parte order on 7-2, which means Sam Ingham's motion is set for July 14th. So they are asking to just set this additional evidentiary hearing, asking for Britney to hire her own counsel for July 14th as well. Now, there might be a request for additional briefing on this and for additional motions on this. So I don't know if this matter will also be dealt with on the 14th. We will see. Of all the matters on calendar, this one, because there's been so much briefing on it in the past and so much like actual down in it legal in the past, this might be something where the other side, I guess in this case being, well, the other side could be Ingham too. The other side, but I think being Dad Spears, could potentially object and say, no, we need to brief this issue. We still think that the previous issues are here. So this issue of all of them could get bumped. In an April 27th hearing in the underlying conservatorship matter, this is going back to how we got here. This is the motions road so far. Conservative Britney Spears, through court-appointed counsel of record, requested to be heard by the court. And on June 23rd, in a very courageous showing, conservative, I'm just going to go with Britney. She's called conservative throughout this. We know she's a conservative. We're going with Britney because she's Britney, bitch. And that's what we're doing. Britney appeared by phone, Zoom, but yes, appeared by phone, spoke for almost 25 minutes, bearing her heart to the court with an impassioned plea to be heard on several requests. Yes, she was ready to scream and shout and let it all out. I'm not going to do Britney lyrics through I can't say that. I might do Britney lyrics through the entire thing. We've been listening to a lot of Britney music over here. So yeah, I might. Not meant in a disrespect way, meant in a you go Britney kind of a way. Petitioner, Mom Spears, interested party, and mother of Britney hereby petitions this court to listen to the wishes of her daughter and, as a first step, respectfully request an order granting permission to Conservative to hire her own private legal counsel, or in the alternative, an order appointing a private attorney of Conservative's choosing. Meaning, if the court is going to appoint court-appointed counsel, allow Britney to be involved in the selection of that. The only wrinkle to that is these attorneys come from pre-approved counsel who can be appointed by the court. In the probate system, I don't know if the court can just add an attorney of Britney's choosing to the list and be like, okay, you're now approved to be appointed by the court as court-appointed counsel. Or if you give the list of counsel to Britney and say, hey, this is the list. You're welcome to give us some input on who you want us to ask. But that counsel also has to agree to representation. And in this case, with the thousands and thousands of legal documents, this is going to be months to catch up on this case to be able to adequately represent her interests, which is part of the problem with Sam Ingham being like, yeah, Britney spoke in court and now I'm out. We'll talk about that in a minute. So that's essentially what they're asking. Either let her hire counsel or let her have input on who the court chooses to appoint. The Conservatives' requests on June 23rd, I think we're all well aware of these, but we're going to go through them again because this is the Mom Spears' lawyer's summary of what they took away from what Britney asked the court for. Now, a lot of us have heard it. There's going to be a transcript attached to one of these motions later. We know what Britney said. But it's always interesting to hear how other people heard it and what they took away. So we're going to go through this. On June 23rd, Britney appeared before this court and made specific requests regarding the ongoing conservatorship of her person and estate. Counsel for Mom Spears notes that a transcript of the June 23rd hearing was requested and payment submitted to court reporter Luna last week, and it is anticipated that the hearing transcript will be available momentarily. However, given the urgency of this situation, the petitioner believes immediate filing of this petition is warranted. And again, this was filed 7/6 at 1:17 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. So yesterday, the Jodi Montgomery motion that has a transcript attached was filed today. So when they say available momentarily, they're literally. Any supplementation that may be necessary due to the receipt of the transcript will follow. Specifically, in the June 23rd hearing, Britney requested changes going forward, including that the conservator of her estate be removed, that the conservatorship be terminated without her having to endure another evaluation, that she be allowed to own her money. She also went that she be allowed to ride in her boyfriend's car, that she be allowed to use her voice to take up for herself. That's literally the words that she said, because it struck me as so particularly Southern to say take up for yourself. That is not something you hear. I don't think I've ever heard anyone on the West Coast say that. That she be allowed to handpick her own lawyer by herself, that she be allowed to meet once a week with her therapist at her home as opposed to more, that she be allowed to see her friends, that she be allowed to get married and have a baby, and to that end, that she be allowed to have her IUD removed. There are a bunch of footnotes here. Footnote 1, Conservatorship testified at June 23rd, referring to her impression that the lack of results from her testimony before the court 2 years ago, quote, by just keeping the conservatorship going and also keeping my dad in the loop made me feel like I was dead, like I didn't matter, like nothing had been done to me, like you thought. She was talking directly to the court, so the judge, like you thought I was lying or something. I'm telling you again because I'm not lying. I want to feel heard, and I'm telling you this again so maybe you can understand the depth and the degree and the damage they did to me back then. Footnote number 2, going to line B here. As Conservatorship testified at the June 23rd hearing, I don't think I owe anyone to be evaluated. I've done more than enough. I don't feel like I should ever be in a room with anyone to offend me by trying to question my capacity of intelligence, whether I need to be in this stupid conservatorship or not. It's my wish and my dream for all of this to end without being tested. I've met with enough people against my will. I don't want to be evaluated and be sat in a room with people for, I don't know if she meant for the letter, the number 4, or for like 4 hours a day, not actually like literally 4 hours a day. 4 hours a day like they did me before. With regard to line 3, that she'd be allowed to own her money, they're recalling that she said, elaborating on her wish to own her money, I shouldn't be in a conservatorship if I can work and provide money and work for myself and pay other people. It makes no sense. Yeah, accurate. Because generally conservatives don't still work. I mean, we've heard it. What state allows people to own another person's money and account and threaten them by saying you can't spend money unless you do what we want you to do, and I'm paying them? That particularly struck me because I think it was referring mostly to Britney's dad and his lawyers. It seems that she feels that they are the ones kind of driving this and holding her back, and she is paying them to frustrate what she wants to do. With regard to the others, we've gotten to ride in her boyfriend's car. That's literally just what she said. I have a right to use my voice and take up for myself. My attorney says I can't. It's not good. I can't let the public know anything they did to me. And by not saying anything is saying it's okay. My own people say I can't say anything. And I think by her own people, she means her attorney. And I don't know. There's like more there that we don't know, like what she wants to expose or share, or what she wants to talk about. I don't know. And I don't know what the fear is, if the fears of a defamation lawsuit, if the fears of, I don't know what the fear is there, that people aren't letting her speak. With regard to footnote 5, I deserve privacy when I go to have therapy, either at my home, like I've done for 8 years. They've always come to my home. Well, yeah, true, but COVID. It's not okay for them to send me to that small room twice a week. She talks about the trauma she experienced with a past therapist and that she doesn't like where she was going for therapy. She said, I'm not able to see my friends that live 8 minutes away from me, which I find extremely strange. Accurate. She also testified, I want to take out the IUD. It's in paren because she called it an ID, not an IUD. So that's why it's actually corrected a little to be in paren right here. But we all knew what she meant. I want to take the ID out so I can start trying to have another baby, but this so-called team won't let me go to the doctor to take it out because they don't want me to have any more children. I deserve to have the same rights as anybody does by having a child, a family, any of those things, and more so. The motion goes on to say the motion to appoint private counsel is of the utmost importance and may well impact each and every of the other requests submitted by Conservatee in her live testimony at the June 23rd hearing. Yeah, because they denied that to her when this whole thing started. And now look at where we are. Just look at where we've gotten to. It is self-evident. We hold these truths to be self-evident. It is self-evident that before the court addresses, for example, the termination of the conservatorship, Conservatee must be allowed to consult with a counsel of her choosing, as she herself testified in her June 23rd hearing. I didn't know I could petition the conservatorship to end. I'm sorry for my ignorance, but I honestly didn't know that. They go on to say, clearly Conservatee needs private counsel to advise her as to her basic right in this conservatorship, which is a lawyer smack, I think, towards Sam Ingham. But again, we don't know the conversations that have happened between Ingham and Spears. It just raises quite a lot of questions, particularly in light of Bessemer Trust saying, the way you represented this to us and the way this seems to be after her testimony seems like two different things. So we have questions. And after Ingham's now like, oh, well, Britney spoke in court. The whole world's heard everything. And now I'm out. It's sus. I have questions. They address the capacity issue here. So let's talk about it. The Conservatee's capacity. It is beyond dispute that this is a unique conservatorship. Right. In the original petition for appointment of temporary conservator of the person, Britney's given address was the UCLA Medical Center. So this was filed for while she was still on that 5150 psych hold for being, or someone believed that she was a danger to herself and put her on that hold. That hold, the paparazzi was following her to the hospital. This followed an incident where she locked herself in the bathroom with a child during a custody handover. There were people there, it seemed, advising her that she didn't have to come out of the bathroom. Kind of a mess. The circumstances surrounding that are really laid out in the New Yorker article that I linked in the last video, and I can put it in the notes below in the description. And the part of the problem was that the UCLA records ended up getting linked. Like there was huge disciplinary and legal action that went on with UCLA because of Britney's HIPAA rights being violated by UCLA Medical Center, which is unusual for an institution like UCLA. That was over 13 years ago. Now, and for the past many years, Britney is able to care for her person and in fact has, inside of the parameters of this conservatorship, earned literally hundreds of millions of dollars as an international celebrity. To earn this money, Britney has had to perform in front of millions of people, has had to manage hundreds of performances, has had to use her artistic and creative talents to prepare for shows by choreographing each and every move for and interacting with many co-performers, has had to rehearse and perform for many thousands of hours over the years. As she testified on June 23rd about preparing for her Vegas residency, I rehearsed for, again, I don't know if in her testimony, I heard it as not the number 4, but 4 hours a day, meaning like literally hours and hours and hours, not just 4 hours. I think her rehearsals for Vegas were probably 8 to 10 hours a day, if not 8 to 12. But that's how it's interesting reading somebody else's transcript of it, because when I heard it, I didn't hear her saying I was performing 4 hours a day. I heard her saying 4 FOR. I rehearsed 4 hours a day, 4 days a week. I rehearsed 4 days a week. I was basically directing most of the show. I actually did most of the choreography, meaning I taught my dancers my new choreo myself. I wasn't good. I was great. I led a room of 16 new dancers in rehearsal. Her capacity is certainly different today than it was in 2008, and the Conservatee should no longer be held to the 2008 standard, whereby she was found to not have the capacity to retain counsel. So it's interesting. They can't really get into it too much more without getting into things that shouldn't be in public record, and they didn't file this under seal. So I appreciate the argument that what happened then shouldn't be the standard we're going by now. California law contemplates the appointment of private counsel for Conservatee. A Conservatee may request private counsel pursuant to California law under probate code saying if a conservatee is unable to retain counsel and requests the appointment of counsel to assist in a particular matter, whether or not that person lacks or appears to lack legal capacity, the court shall, not may, shall, which is a very strong word in the law. Shall means literally the fuck it says. Shall means shall, not sometimes. The court shall, at or before the time of the hearing, appoint the public defender or private counsel to represent the interests of that person in the following proceedings under this division: a proceeding to terminate a conservatorship, a proceeding to remove the conservator. But you are able, whether or not they lack capacity, shall be able to appoint a public defender or private counsel. So again, this does say appoint, but it says whether or not they lack capacity, and it gives room for private counsel. Now, I would need to look at the case law to tell you if this particular statute has been interpreted, which would probably be my guess, been interpreted to mean appointing private counsel coming from the list of court-appointed counsel, like Sam Ingham. Technically, he is private counsel. He is court-appointed from their list. He is not hired or a counsel that works for the county. He is technically private counsel. So we can get into that, what the case law contemplates, but there is room to interpret that as private counsel, meaning the person can have private counsel. We have just plain kombucha tonight because there's so much to get through. There was nothing added to it. The motion goes on to say, in order to allow Britney to either terminate the conservatorship or remove the conservator, both among the requests she voiced, if the court determines that she is unable to retain legal counsel because of the 2008 order, and request the appointment of counsel, the court shall appoint private counsel. However, that's what they've done in this case, because technically Ingham is private counsel. He's court appointed, but he's private. Additionally, section 1470 of the California Probate Code allows the court to appoint private legal counsel for a conservatee in any proceeding under this division if the court determines the person is not otherwise represented by legal counsel and that the appointment would be helpful. This is not going to come up that much because Ingham has also asked for the court to appoint new counsel. While Britney is represented in the conservatorship by her court-appointed attorney, Sam Ingham, she did not participate in the decision to appoint him. If nothing else, that militates for conservatee to be able to make a choice as her legal counsel. This has been going on for years, this argument over private counsel. So they're asking the court to allow appointment of private counsel. And then we've got all of the notices being sent to literally everybody. Literally everybody. So that is Britney Mom Spears' motion to ask the court to allow Britney to select her own attorney, to let her choose whether it's court-appointed counsel or privately hired, privately retained counsel. She gets to pick is what is being asked here. We will see what the court does. And if the court sets this for hearing on July 14th, they have not done so yet, but who knows? By the end of the stream, that may have happened too. Let's get into these motions filed by Sam Ingham. I'm going to go ahead and pull that up. Sam Ingham is court-appointed counsel for Britney Spears and has been for the last 13 years. And he woke up on July 6th and was like, you know what? I'm going to call TMZ and let them know I am resigning. And then I'm going to file this motion at 12:48 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. No, I don't know if he called TMZ. He probably shouldn't have. I don't think he's the one. Somebody called TMZ because they had this headline hours and hours and hours before this was filed with the court. So Sam Ingham is asking for the appointment of counsel. Now, it's odd to me that there's an application for appointment of counsel and not a motion for resignation. Bessemer Trust filed a notice of motion and motion to resign. They're filing just for appointment of new counsel. It's like, hey, could you just appoint somebody new? We're out. It just seems like an odd way to go about this, that he's not filing a motion, but we'll see. So Sam Ingham is court-appointed counsel for Britney. All of her info is withheld, as it should be. She is the conservatee. This is appointment of counsel to represent the person named in 2 is necessary to protect the person's interest because see attachment 5. And guess what? We have attachment 5. We're going to go to that next. Here's attachment 5. Conservatorship of Britney Spears attached to the application for appointment of counsel. This is their motion. Attachment 5. Appointment of counsel to represent the conservatee is necessary to protect her interests because applicant, who is conservatee's current court-appointed counsel, and Loeb and Loeb LLP, which is associated co-court-appointed counsel for the conservatee, they're like special litigation counsel, essentially, have tendered their resignations. Said resignations are attached as exhibits A and B. Not a motion to ask to resign, a motion to ask the court to appoint somebody new and grant their resignations. It's an interesting way to do it. Respectively and incorporated by this reference, applicant requests that said resignations be accepted effective upon the appointment of new court-appointed counsel. Your Honor, they're saying, Britney needs a new lawyer. We out. The second you appoint somebody new, we're gone. That's what they're asking for. They're not really asking. They're saying, we're resigning. Bessemer said, can we resign? Ingham is saying, I am out. Let's look at attachment A. Exhibit A, resignation of court-appointed counsel. This is literally it. Sam Ingham hereby resigns as court-appointed counsel for Britney Spears conservatee effective upon appointment of new court-appointed counsel. I'm not asking permission. I'm leaving. And resignation of counsel for conservatee, Loeb and Loeb hereby resigns. Loeb and Loeb was hired to work with Sam Ingham because Sam Ingham said, look, I'm flooded by work because Dad Spears' attorneys have been filing so much shit that I need help. I cannot do this all myself. Now, it's good to know that Sam Ingham can still file stuff because you know what he hasn't filed? Anything to end the conservatorship. So I feel in my gut that Ingham said that the relationship between him and Britney has deteriorated because of her testimony in court. I am frustrated and annoyed by this because it seems that a conversation with her is what is warranted and that people just bouncing is a bad idea. Now, the court can look at Ingham and say, by the way, no, you can't just resign. We saw this in the motion from Erica Girardi's attorney in the bankruptcy court, a motion to withdraw or be removed as counsel. Normally, there's a motion saying, Your Honor, might I please leave? Might I please be removed? You don't just bounce. You have to ask the court. And after 13 years, the court was not inclined to remove Dad Spears when Bessemer came on. The court made it clear that the court felt that this was a complex conservatorship and Dad Spears needed to help transition Bessemer onto the team. I mean, weren't we all so innocent then? Maybe we weren't that innocent. But the court made particular care to say what a complex conservatorship this is. So for the attorney who represents the interests of the conservatee, the one person that is representing or supposed to be representing the interests of Britney is like, I resign. I'm out. The court can say, I am disinclined to acquiesce to your request and appoint other lawyers. Sam Ingham said on the record in court on the 23rd, I will do what my client wants. If that's talking to Loeb and Loeb without me, fine. If that's hiring new counsel, fine. If that's filing a motion to terminate, fine. And then we see nothing. And then we get to here and it's literally, I'm out. I don't understand what has happened. There's no even motion saying the relationship between counsel and client has broken down, that the trusted relationship hasn't happened. Britney said on the record, and we'll get to the transcript, but said on the record that she felt that her relationship with her court-appointed counsel had gotten better. Sam Ingham said on the record at the end of that hearing, when I was on the hearing, listening to it, that the relationship and working relationship with them was working well. Something is the fuck up. I don't know what it is. I don't know how this is in her best interest. I have a lot of questions. The only thing I can think that wouldn't piss me off is if there was something that changed for his personal health status, and that is what he is going to talk about the court with. And then it would be, this is why I have to leave. But with her business manager leaving, with Bessemer Trust bailing, saying that they've been misled by him, and then him saying, I'm resigning, I have a lot of questions. I don't think the court is going to grant this quickly. The court has set this for hearing on July 14th, but woo. So this is why when Ingham has said, please appoint new, this is literally, he didn't even make a motion. He just applied for new court appointed counsel. Like, I'm out, give me somebody new. He just asked for a new attorney to be appointed. This is why Mom Spears filed the motion saying, well, if you got to do this anyway, might as well let her pick. This is going to slow everything down, because if Ingham's motion, until we get to the 14th, if I were the court at this point, and I worked as a court research attorney, so some of what I did was put these things in order when stuff was flaming like this in court. If I was having to order this, this would probably be the first thing we have to hear, because we can't get to anything else if this attorney is being allowed to leave. But if this attorney is not being allowed to leave, it's like, no, you're not being allowed to leave. We need to deal with the rest of the things on calendar. But I don't know if the judge will put her foot down in that way. It's time for somebody's foot to go down, because this is wild. And again, I'll talk about this more when we get to questions. This is odd to me. This is odd to me, and maybe it will make sense in the coming days. Maybe we'll learn more. This move is really, really odd for me, that he has not made a motion for Britney to get court appointed, or to get her own, or hire her own attorney, that he's not helped her hire her own attorney, that he hasn't made the motion she wanted to make. Her mom's attorneys are stepping in. This is very strange to me. And the way it was done, like the procedural way that it was done, also strikes me as odd. No motion to resign, no motion for new counsel. It's just literally this application. Where's the motion? This is a notice of resignation. You have to ask the court to be withdrawn. I don't understand. I just don't understand. I don't like this. I don't like this at all. I don't like it. We'll get to more of it in Q&A, why I don't like it, but the swiftness of the turnabout from how he was speaking to the court on the 23rd, the Bessemer Trust leaving and saying, and talking about Sam Ingham, and then the way that this was filed, it just does not sit right with me. The fact that it's not even asking the court to be allowed to resign, to be allowed to be removed as counsel. And now maybe this is the way Judge Penny does things, and maybe this is the way this particular court wants them, but it just feels odd. But it leads us to Jodi Montgomery coming in swinging with 2 additional motions. So let's get to Jodi Montgomery swinging for the walls on this one, because there are 2 very extensive motions, and she's not playing. Jodi Montgomery is the temporary conservator of the person of Britney Spears. She came into this when Dad Spears had health issues, or, had a restraining order against Britney's children, or both things at the same time, because the health issues, I think, were a cover for the fact that he also had the restraining order against the children. But he stepped down as conservator of the person due to health issues. There probably are also health issues, but I think there were other matters as well. Stepped down. She came in 2019, and there are 2 motions that she, through her attorneys, filed today. We're going to get into the petition for extra security first, and then we are going to get into Jodi Montgomery's request for a guardian ad litem, which is kind of a big move, but it's also a really interesting move. So we're going to get to that second. Let's get into this request for additional security. You know, things are popping off when this is going on. So this is an ex-party petition for order authorizing and instructing conservators, Dad Spears, of the estate to pay for additional security expenses. And then there's a declaration. Ex-party just means they're making this motion that doesn't need to be heard. It's an urgent motion and what have you. I should say, now that we've got over 5,000 people in here, don't forget to do the likey things and subscribey things. Thanks. I will get back to the chat in a minute. I want to get through these without keeping you here all night. And if I get distracted, then I will get distracted. All right, let's go ahead and get into this. Oh, this is a lot. All right. Jodi Montgomery, as temporary conservator of the person of Britney, hereby brings this ex-party petition for an order authorizing the conservators of the estate to pay for additional security expenses. Introduction. Since the June 23rd status hearing, which was illegally broadcast, streamed, and replayed to an incredibly wide audience, it wasn't only that. It was re-uploaded. I know that those videos are getting copyright claimed by the courts now. I don't know how savvy the courts are when it comes to getting and seeking out all of that. I think they've probably now, I don't know. I wonder. So if there's any creators out there that want to DM me that have covered this and have used clips of the audio that was uploaded, I'm not going to shame you. I'm not going to name you. But if you want to tell me if your videos have gotten copy notices on the back end, because I think they tried to tag those illegal uploads on YouTube, and are going to go through and try to tag them out of the videos where they've been re-uploaded or shared in part. So I'm curious if that's happened to any creators. If it has, let me know. You can DM me. I won't. I don't name and shame, but I'm just curious I'm curious as to how far the court has been able to go in the savviness with YouTube to try to pull out every video that has those clips, because they can ID tag things the way they ID tag music. So, since the June 23rd status hearing, which was illegally broadcast, streamed, and replayed, and uploaded to an incredibly wide audience, there has been a marked increase in the number and severity of threatening posts about petitioner on all social media platforms, as well as text messages, phone calls, and emails directed to the petitioner personally. I'm sure it's not just her. I'm sure it's not just Jodi Montgomery. Many of the messages threatened violence and even death against petitioner. Look. It's never okay to threaten the lives of other people. In California, it's actually a crime, can be a felony crime, 422 criminal threats, but it's not okay. People will be prosecuted. It's not okay. Do not make threats against any of the people involved, no matter how much you don't like them. We feel the same way about Dad Spears. Don't threaten his life. Don't threaten his life. Don't. Look, they're from Louisiana. You go to Louisiana, you go find the people. You know the people I'm talking about. And do some of the voodoo. Don't threaten their life. Just, maybe put a curse against their life. No, I'm not saying to curse Dad Spears. I'm just saying don't make death threats to people online. It's never a good look. It's shitty. It's unacceptable. No matter how much you hate a person, don't threaten their life. Just don't. It's bad. Sorry, my computer is way too bright, my computer screen, and it's actually making my eyes crazy. Reduce brightness. Thank you. And I don't know how to do it without asking Siri to do it. Let's keep going. Let's keep going about the death threats. I think I've made my point clear. Petitioner has forwarded and continues to forward these threatening communications to the security company retained by the conservator of the estate, Black Box Security, Inc. Security has determined the security risk to be serious enough to recommend 24/7 physical security be provided to petitioner on an interim basis in order to protect her from harm until such a time as petitioner can make certain security improvements at her home, office, and residence. Look. This is not okay. It's not okay. It's not okay. I have had security on my house because I was doing my job. It is really fucking problematic. It's scary. It's damaging, but it can also damage this case. And also, this can cost the estate more money. This isn't helping if the estate has to pay for security. If Britney has to pay for security for the conservators because the Free Britney movement or anyone else is threatening their life, it is a big problem. Don't do that. Security has determined the risk to be serious enough. Physical security has been at petitioner's residence since June 30, being conditionally paid for by the conservatorship estate because it is cost prohibitive for petitioner to bear the cost of it personally. Dad Spears, as conservator of the estate, has conditioned the providing of security to petitioner on 1, petitioner obtaining court approval for the security, and 2, petitioner agreeing that if for some reason court approval is not obtained, petitioner agree to pay back the cost to the estate. The cost of physical security, although deemed urgent and necessary at this time for petitioner, is cost prohibitive for petitioner to personally bear unless and until this court approves the expense. Petitioner remains personally liable for it. Thus, we're asking the court to approve the expense. Procedural and factual background. Initial appointments. My words, I'm frustrated with the Ingham stuff, and so you can hear my words getting more and more frustrated. Initial appointments on February 1st, 2008, the court appointed Dad Spears as temporary conservator of person of his daughter Britney, and Spears and Andrew M. Wallet, who has resigned 2 years ago, and Andrew M. Wallet as temporary co-conservators of Britney's estate. Letters of conservatorship were issued that day and extended several times. On October 28th, 2008, the court granted petitions for permanent conservatorship as to Spears' person and estate, and those letters were issued January 9th, 2019. We talked about that, and I pulled those up a while back. No, maybe 2 streams ago, I pulled up those. Conservator of the estate on March 5th, 2019, the court accepted the resignation of Andrew Wallet, confirming Dad Spears as the sole conservator of the estate of Britney. Amended letters of conservatorship were issued on that date. On November 10th, 2020, the court appointed Bessemer Trust as co-conservator of Spears' estate, but the order thereon was not entered until June 30th, 2021. Lawyers for Jodi Montgomery, we appreciate you. Can you please tell us why? Like, who dropped the ball on filing that? We're all dead curious. We want to know why weren't the orders entered? Ingham was ordered by the court to prepare the orders. And from November 10th to June 30th, they weren't filed. And during that time, Bessemer could have started looking into Britney's books, which was a good thing. Still a good thing. Somebody other than just Dad Spears looking at the books would have been helpful. There's a lot of time between November and June. He didn't file them till June 25th. He was ordered to do that shit November 10th. Why? So in your next motion, could you just tell us why? We really want to know. Okay, thanks. On July 1st, Bessemer Trust, the next fucking day, Bessemer Trust filed an ex parte application for the court to accept his resignation. The court set that to be heard on, say it with me, July 14th. Conservator of the person. On September 9th, 2019, Dad Spears, at Dad Spears' request, Jodi Montgomery was appointed temporary conservator of Britney's person. Letters of temporary conservatorship of the person were issued to Ms. Montgomery on September 9th, 2019, and have been extended to September 3rd, 2021. On that same day, Dad Spears temporarily relinquished powers of conservatorship of the person. CAC attorney, court appointed. On February 1st, the court appointed Sam Ingham as court-appointed counsel, or CAC, for Britney. As of the date of filing this ex parte application petition, Ingham has not been discharged as CAC, though on July 6th, he filed an application for appointment of counsel in which he tendered his resignation. He didn't file a motion. He just asked for a new one. It's weird. But he has not been discharged. The court has not released him. The court has not acquiesced to his request. Recent status hearing. June 23rd. At an unsealed open status hearing, Spears addressed the court, raising numerous concerns about her conservatorship and making, quote, serious allegations regarding forced labor, forced medical treatment and therapy, improper medical care, and limitations on personal rights, to name a few. This comes from Dad Spears' petition, dated 6/29/21. Dad Spears' petition is what I referenced earlier. It is Dad Spears' objection to Sam Ingham's motion to appoint Montgomery as the permanent conservator of the estate. Yes, lawyers get paid to keep track of this shit. That is the motion that also asked for the evidentiary hearing, meaning under oath, taking testimony and collecting receipts, that will happen on July 14th. While Spears expressed her displeasure with the conservatorship at the June 23rd hearing, she has informed petitioner that she would like her to stay on as her conservator. Attached as Exhibit A is a true and correct copy of a text message between petitioner and Britney, wherein Britney expressed her wish for petitioner to continue serving in her role. Assessment and recommended additional security. As soon as petitioner began receiving an elevated level of threatening messages, she notified Black Box Security, the security company that has provided security to the conservatorship estate for many years. All threats are being forwarded to them for ongoing assessment. In their current assessment, petitioner needs 24/7 live security at her resident home office for a couple of months. This is all going to cost Britney more money. The court is going to grant this because of what was done with regard to the illegal recordings. The court is going to grant this, and this is going to continue to cost the estate money. So stop making threats. I know that y'all aren't doing it. Y'all aren't the ones doing it. The ones y'all watching my channel are not the people out there making threats on the internet. You're not. You're the ones saying, we're mad, we're going to protest, we're going to get signs, we're going to free Britney, we're going to talk about it, and we're going to go for facts. But y'all aren't involved in this fuckery. But I'm saying it to the atmosphere. This is going to make it harder for the court to want to let any information out to the public. The court is going to deny every media request because of this. And the court is going to deny every request for unsealed proceedings. The court is going to seal more proceedings, and we are going to know less because of this. Not just this, because of the illegally recorded hearing as well. I know everybody wanted to hear it. I get it. Not everybody could attend. I was on the call and it bounced me out. It was tremendously frustrating. But the kind of security issues that the court has experienced, the leaked document to the New York Times, the death threats to members involved in the conservatorship are all going to make the court say, you know what? The court will never say this in their words, but they will think it, because I have friends that are judges and they don't hold back. But fuck this shit. This is not in the best interest of the conservatee. This has turned into a circus. This is why we sealed it for so many years, and we're sealing it back up. Nobody's going to know anything. And that's the safest thing to do. And the court will have grounds to say that based on this. I don't like it, but that's what's going to happen. They provided a quote on June 30th, 2021, which is attached as Exhibit B. Oh, I'm very curious. The initial quote for 14 days. The initial quotes for 14 days, and petitioner request that this expense payable by the conservator's estate be approved by the court. This is an additional request for payment. Request for payment of physical security expenses by conservator of the estate. Also on June 30th, petitioner contacted Dad Spears to request the live 24/7 security recommended by Black Box. Dad Spears, through the estate's business manager, Michael Kane of Miller Kaplan, approved hiring of security guards for petitioner. Kane also stated that Dad Spears requested a risk assessment analysis, inclusive, this stuff is so stressful to go through, inclusive of implementation of recommended protocols. Attached as Exhibit C is a true and correct copy of the email approving the security guard. I'm going to look at that and make sure there's no security provisions in it before I put it up on the screen. I know these are public documents, but I'm not going to put them out there. If it has security plans, it probably doesn't, but I'm going to look. Current payment of physical security. After the email attached to Exhibit B was sent during a conference call between counsel on the issue on July 1st, Ms. Weil, on behalf of Dad Spears, conveyed that Dad Spears would not continue to approve payment of the security for petitioner unless petitioner agreed that should the court not approve of it, petitioner would pay back the cost to the estate. We already know Dad Spears is coming hard for Jodi Montgomery, so I can understand the frustration of having to take on the expense, and it can be very expensive because you're trying to do your job, and because Montgomery is now going head to head with Dad Spears, but has to ask Dad Spears to approve of this. I can imagine the frustration in all of this. Because the cost of security guards is cost prohibitive for petitioner to take on herself personally, and before petitioner's potential personal liability gets too large, this application is being brought. Preliminary security measures taken. Petitioner has taken several steps of her own to improve security. In addition, the assessment by Black Box Security petitioner has contacted her local sheriff's department. They have added her to the patrol watch. That's always a fun call to have to make. Been there. Petitioner also immediately began undertaking her own security improvements. Carry a gun is one of the first ones that needs to happen. Though it's hard to get them through the LA County Sheriff's Department, it can happen in high profile cases if someone is comfortable with it. But, just my take on it. It's something that is frequently done within the DA's office when needed. Has begun to undertake her own security improvements to her property, which comes at significant personal expense and will take several weeks to complete. One of those additional security implementations, once they're made, the security threat can be reassessed, and perhaps less physical security or no physical security will be needed. By physical security, they mean actual armed security guards at the residence. Petitioner requests that conservator of the estate be allowed to pay for additional security. Since Britney Spears has requested that petitioner retain her position as conservator, petitioner has no intention of abandoning her because of resigning because of these threats. I wonder if this is an indication. Or a dig at Ingham, saying, look, we're all dealing with threats. Deal with it. You're here for your client. Sometimes that means that this shit's going to happen when you deal with high profile cases. It happens. Lawyers have dealt with it. I've dealt with it for way less high profile cases. It's not fun, and it does suck, and it does make you question for your family's safety when, I don't know, you're sitting at home and you have your child asleep upstairs and you're pregnant and you've got police protection on your house. Personal experience. It's not a lot of fun, but you still do your job. So I wonder if that's a dig at Ingham. I'm going to read it as such. I'm going to put up a poll. I can do that. I can put up a poll. Is it a dig at Ingham? Let me see. Let me copy the statement and see if it's a dig at Ingham. And I want to see what you guys think, because I can put up a poll. Is the is Montgomery's statement about bailing on Britney a dig at Ingham? All right, let's make this a poll. And we're going to ask yes and no questions. Ooh, we don't need that. We don't need that. No, go away. All right. There we go. Polls up. Let me know what you think. I'll come back and check in on this in a minute. I want to know. I accidentally edited it. Damn it. I'm new at this. I'm new to adding polls. I apologize. Darn it. Emily, tech genius. All right. There we go. I want to know what you think. Let's get back to this. All right. Let's get back. I think it's a dig. I want to know what you think. Petitioner has no intention of abandoning Britney by resigning because of these threats. However, in order for petitioner to effectively perform her duties, her security and safety must be ensured. I mean, yeah, that's like basic on Maslow's hierarchy of needs. You have to actually be safe. Britney doesn't feel very safe. We also need that to happen. Britney needs to feel safe. As a case of public interest, petitioner has always received some level of ongoing threats throughout the pendency of the case. But since the June 23rd hearing, the amount as well as the severity of threats has drastically increased, threatening the very safety of petitioner. The petitioner, as the temporary conservator of the person, plays an important role in ensuring the best interest of both the conservatorship, making it essential to ensure her safety because threat levels and the need for security evolve rapidly over time. Petitioner has phased The requested order to apply to an ongoing basis. Notably, the order sought is a two-step process where an assessment is made first, and then and only then are additional security protocols implemented. Ex parte relief is warranted. Yes. Prayer, wherefore, Jodi, this is the prayer for relief, authorizing the instructing of the currently serving conservator of the estate to expend sums which are necessary to assess the threat and provide additional security. I'm going to look at this real quick because there are emails attached. And let me take a look and make sure those don't lay out the security plans. It also, this looks like it's just the, let me make sure the residence isn't on there. The names aren't on there. Oh, they all redacted a lot of it, which is good. And let's see the other one. Yeah, okay. Nothing of a sensitive nature. I don't think they would. I hadn't looked, so I wanted to make sure I looked before I did that. All right, let's get into this declaration. Declaration of Lorianne Wright is the attorney that represents Jodi Montgomery as the temporary positioner of the person. Exigent circumstances, you can tell I've been streaming all day. Exigent circumstances exist to grant this ex parte petition as it is in Miss Spears's best interest if those around her are not placed in any danger. There are grave concerns regarding the safety of the conservator of the person and counsel involved in this highly publicized matter arising from the drastic increase in threats of violence and death since the June 23rd unsealed status hearing. See, the court's going to seal this shit going forward because of this. It's just, that's what's going to happen. That's what's going to happen. I don't like it, but that's what's going to happen. If the court would like additional details on the threats that are being made, we can provide them for an in-camera review. In-camera means for the court's eyes. So they would submit the threats that they're also presenting to law enforcement so the court can read them instead of putting them in public. We can probably guess at the nature of them, seeing that I covered that motion where Lou Ann Taylor left or resigned as business manager with her company TriStar. She included a whole bunch of screenshots of the death threats she was receiving. I imagine these are of the same nature and kind. They are not great. If you want to see me go through those, it's in the Britney Spears playlist going through Lou Ann Taylor's resignation. Notably, on July 6th at approximately 6 p.m., my office emailed Sam Ingham, court-appointed counsel for Conservatee, David Nelson, and Ronald Pearson, associated counsel for, those are the Loeb and Loeb attorneys for Britney, Vivian Thoren, literally all of the attorneys for Dad Spears, the attorneys for Mom Spears, the attorneys for Bessemer, and informed them that the temporary conservator would be applying for this. They were advised of the time and place. They knew this was happening. Yay, notice. Exhibit A. This purports to be, and they've said it in a sworn motion that this is Britney messaging Jodi Montgomery saying, I need you to stay as my co-conservator of person. I am asking you for your assistance in getting a new attorney. Thank you for your help. Now, because the things that were said are confidential as to what Jodi Montgomery is saying to Britney, what Jodi is saying to Britney, or these others. No, these are red. I have no idea what kind of phone this is. Because these are not iMessages. But these red ones look like they're being sent from, and then there's blue here that's blacked out and blue here. Those look like they're the receiving, if I'm reading that. And these are different messages from Britney to Jodi Montgomery. But again, this is going to make everything really a mess. This is just going to make everything a mess. So the email with the quote, if we're curious about the cost of private security, for 14 days, it's $25,000. The court, again, is going to grant this. Thank you, Diva Views, for always knowing the things. Yes, she is actually in the phone as Jane Doe, and she would be to keep her protected. So Jodi Montgomery would not have Britney's name and message saved in case anybody hacked into her stuff, in case somebody got a hold of her phone. That's for privacy. So this is California overtime, holiday rates, minimum security service, job-related expensive cancellation policies. So this is going to be $25,000 for 14 days. because of the severity of the threats against Jodi Montgomery. And she's not the only one. This is automatically being paid for Dad Spears too, and for others who are being threatened. So these are things that are just spending Britney's money, and the court is going to grant this, I'm sure. So let's get into the next email, which says, Jodi, just to give you a quick update, since my prior email, your safety is of paramount importance. And in reviewing your request, it wasn't clear to me if you have notified law enforcement. If not, please report any such threats to law enforcement. Obviously, always, if you receive threats, report them to law enforcement and takes personal security measures. Second, Jamie has approved hiring of additional security guard effective immediately. Let me know once they arrive if you have any concerns. Third, Dad Spears has requested a meeting with Sam and Bessemer to alert them of your concerns. Fourth, Dad Spears has requested that we put together a risk assessment analysis promptly, inclusive of implementation of recommended protocols. Lastly, Dad Spears has requested that appropriate court approvals be obtained. I mean, which makes all of those things make sense. The estate can't just spend money without court approvals. So the court does need to approve it. So, yeah. All right. That is the end of the first Montgomery motion. We now need to get into the second Montgomery motion. It's just the threats are not okay, and it is going to give the court the justification to make this more private, and that makes me mad. Let's go see what the poll said. How many of y'all voted? Let me take a look. 1,300. There's 5,000 of y'all in here. 1,300 of you voted. That's okay. It's a smash at 96%. So 96% of you thought it was a dig at Sam Ingham for being afraid. And you know what? Maybe he is. And maybe that's the issue. And should I judge him for that? No. Might I judge him for that? Yeah, I might. But we'll talk about that when we get to Q&A, because it's something I have personal experience with, and it's not fun. And I imagine working in probate, you don't expect it, but you should, because family law gets fucking wild. Wild. In the civil court, the only courtrooms in the civil court I worked in, which is, the civil court where all of this is happening, the only courtrooms that had armed guards were the family law courtrooms. The other ones did not have armed bailiffs. Let's get to Jodi Montgomery's last motion, asking for the appointment of a guardian ad litem for a person whose only job is to do things that are in Britney's best interest, because apparently no one else is doing it. And the conservator of the person is different than a guardian ad litem. So let's do that. Jake Yonsei and Adam McIntyre, hello. It's good to see you. The mods were letting me know you're in the chat. I haven't been looking at the chat. I will be back, chat. I will be back. I just don't want to get distracted. And you know me. I will. I want to get through these motions. Let's get into the request for an appointment for the appointment of a guardian ad litem. Yeah, if you can see this down here, that does say 53 pages. Yeah, it does. Yeah, it says 53 pages. Let's get into it. Jodi Montgomery is the temporary conservator of the person, is talking about Britney Spears is a person with a disability within the meaning of the probate code. Other appointment of a guardian ad litem arises out of the issues regarding other. So these are the reasons you can have a guardian ad litem. Let's see what other is. Attachment F5. We're going to get through the other stuff. The appointment of a guardian ad litem is necessary for the following reasons. See attachment 6B. The proposed guardian ad litem's relationship with the person he or she is representing is not related. An attorney from the CAC panel should be appointed for this role. So when we talk about the CAC panel is the court's approved list of attorneys. So they are asking not for an attorney, but for a guardian ad litem who is there to represent Britney's best interest. In that, clearly they don't believe Ingham's doing it. And we're going to see what they have to say about it. But this is a really interesting turn of events, because this is not asking for a court-appointed lawyer to represent her legal interests. This is asking for someone to represent her personal interests. Notice of the proceeding will be given to the parties named in attachment 9A. So that'll be everybody who gets notice. This is lawyer. This is Jodi Montgomery. These are signed. Let's get to the attachments to the ex parte petition for the appointment of a guardian ad litem, not a guardian of the galaxy or a GAL. We're going to go with guardian because, let's see what they have to say. I feel like this is a first look for me. I wonder if they're just going to throw Ingham right the fuck under the bus. I'm very curious to see what happens. Appointment of a guardian ad litem arises from the fact that conservatee Spears wants to select her own attorney, does not want one appointed solely by this court, and does not want to undergo any additional evaluations to determine her capacity. Boom. It's like Jodi Montgomery came in with like, whoomp, there it is. Whoomp, there it is. Britney's sick of your shit. We need a guardian ad litem because Britney is tired of everyone's shit. She wants her own attorney. She does not want one appointed just by this court, and she does not want to undergo any additional evaluations. Boom. In 2008, more than 13 years ago, after a medical evaluation, this court found that Spears did not have capacity to retain her own attorney. Instead, the court appointed Ingham as Spears' court-appointed counsel, and many years thereafter, Loeb and Loeb as associated counsel, and many years there later as associate counsel. Ingham and Loeb have just tendered their joint resignations on July 6th. In their joint application, they request that their resignations be accepted upon appointment of new court-appointed counsel. In other words, they want the court to appoint counsel for Miss Spears yet again. Right. When clearly what Britney said in court was she wants to hire her own lawyer. And what Ingham said in court was if Britney wants to hire her own lawyer, let her hire her own lawyer. Yet what he filed in his motion was the court should appoint a lawyer. Why is that my Ingham voice? That's what it is now. And the court should appoint a lawyer for Miss Spears. I did not hear what she had to say. That is not actually what he sounded like when I listened to him talk to the court. But that is the voice you are getting today because that is that is the choice that this commentator has made. Spears, however, unequivocally disagrees. No shit. After 13 years of court-appointed counsel, she wants to select her own counsel. She wanted to select her own counsel at the beginning of this thing, and she got completely blocked out by her dad. And then the attorney went to file an appeal, and then the timing got screwed up, and I still have questions about that, but we'll get to that another day. At the hearing on June 23rd, Spears addressed the court, repeatedly expressed her desire to select her own counsel without an additional medical evaluation. She pointed out that with the conservatorship, I couldn't even get my own attorney, and she wants to feel heard, and that I have the right to use my voice and speak up for myself without having to be evaluated. See Exhibit A, reporter's transcript. So now we've got the full transcript attached. At one point, Spears poignantly stated, I haven't really had the opportunity by my own self to actually handpick my own lawyer by myself. And I would like to be able to do that. Exhibit A. This is the citations to the reporter's transcript that's attached. In addition to her very public you were aware. They are indeed very public comments. In addition to her very public comments, Spears told Montgomery privately that she wants to select her own counsel and has asked Montgomery as her conservator of the person to help her in that selection process. See Exhibit B, redacted for privacy. That's going to be more text messages. While Miss Montgomery is always driven to help Spears in whatever way she can, there is no question that Montgomery's input in Spears' counsel is beyond her powers as conservator of the person and is inappropriate in light of Miss Spears' recent criticisms of her conservatorship. I think that that's actually very, very smart and very cognizant to say, I don't want this to be a conflict down the road that I helped pick the lawyer that is standing up for you. Because if Britney has issues with Jodi Montgomery, the lawyer is the one that is supposed to bring those issues. And Jodi Montgomery is saying, look, I don't want it to be a conflict by me helping pick the lawyer. So you're going to need to have a guardian ad litem to help Britney select her own attorney, to give her neutral input, not a parent, not me, not leaving her just hanging by herself, because Ingham would be the one to generally help her with this, but has yeeted himself from the chat. So, Ingham's the imposter, and the guardian ad litem might be the person to help her go through the process of finding her own attorney and hiring them. This goes on to say, nonetheless, Montgomery has heard her words and wants to honor her wishes. This motion for appointment of a guardian ad litem now follows. Exigency. Right the fuck now. Do it right the fuck now. This shit needs to happen now. This petition's being brought ex parte because events in this case are rapidly changing. No shit. and it's essential that conservative have counsel to help her navigate them. Accurate. Nothing has been more accurate. The conservatee has been repeatedly and consistently requesting petitioner to assist her in locating a new attorney. Petitioner believes it is urgent and important for her as temporary conservator of the person to bring this issue to the court while advocating for conservatee's desire for counsel of her choice, and is thus proposing the resolution of the issue set forth in this petition. Necessity for a guardian ad litem, specific appointment order requested. Rather than the court once again appointing Ms. Spears' attorney from the court's CAC panel, the court appointed counsel panel, without her input or rather than doing the shit you did last time, let's try this a better way. Rather than appointing her attorney from a list without her input or subjecting her to another evaluation against her wishes, petitioner instead asserts that a guardian ad litem appointed under Probate Code 372 for the limited purpose of assisting Ms. Spears in selection of private counsel is necessary to both give Spears a voice as to the selection of her counsel, as well as to protect her best interest. So look, we're going to have an attorney who's appointed to represent her interests as a guardian ad litem to help her go through the process of picking another lawyer to make sure that the process goes smoothly. So please don't just give her a court-appointed lawyer. Give her a court-appointed lawyer to help her hire attorney. And this is somebody that's neutral, that's not involved with this, and their only job is to make sure Britney's able to hire counsel of her choice. This is not a bad plan at all. I quite like this. Initial reaction. This seems like a solid plan and a good way to protect Britney's interests, but she will have to adapt to another new person. But a lawyer helping you hire a lawyer shouldn't be that dramatic or that difficult. Petitioner submits that the following order for appointment of a guardian ad litem from the court's CAC panel regarding a selection of private counsel for the conservative would honor Spears' wishes while protecting her best interests. And this is the order. Person is appointed guardian ad litem for the conservatee, Britney Spears, for the limited purpose of assisting her in selection of private counsel to represent her in these pending conservatorship proceedings. Once the conservatee selects the private counsel that she wishes to retain, the guardian ad litem shall report the selection to the court and report whether there is any reason that it would not be in the conservatee's best interest to retain her selection as private counsel. If there is no reason that it would not be in conservatee's best interest for her selection as private counsel to be retained, then the guardian ad litem shall be authorized and instructed to retain private counsel, and all legal bills for the conservatee's private counsel shall be an expense of the conservatorship estate, subject to court approval. The reason it's subject to court approval is because all expenses are subject to court approval, but not subject to Dad Spears' approval. So Britney gets to hire her own attorney with her own money, and Dad Spears doesn't get to say no. That retained counsel have the same rights to medical information as a court-appointed counsel, to wit, and then it gives the legal reasons why. Because if they're going to help her prepare for a petition to end the conservatorship, they need to have access to literally everything that the court knows, and it will take them some time to get up to speed. Because it is the guardian ad litem who is retaining private counsel for conservatee, the proposed guardian ad litem appointment can honor conservatee's choice of private counsel without any kind of medical testing. There's no need for capacity. She is giving input to the guardian ad litem. The guardian ad litem, who is tasked with her best interest, is the one doing the hiring. So you don't have to question her capacity. The guardian ad litem has got it. I'm digging the plan. I'm digging that this is a solid plan. I like this plan. We're good with this plan. So far, I like the plan. A concern that Ms. Spears raised at the last hearing. Recognizing both the demands of the conservatorship and Spears' desire for more autonomy, petitioner believes that a guardian ad litem for this limited purpose is the only way to honor both her wish to select counsel without a medical evaluation and protect her interests. In the same vein, petitioner further believes that a large firm, such as an AM Law 100 firm, is the appropriate choices for Spears' retained counsel. Yeah, a firm has to have the resources to deal with Dad Spears' fleet of lawyers, but also one attorney cannot do this. This is a lot of work. This court has already recognized the necessity for a large firm to represent Spears in this complicated conservatorship as it approved Ingham's association with ongoing counsel Loeb and Loeb. More importantly, Spears has consistently voiced her desire for litigators like her father has, right? Because he's paying for litigators to come into court. She should have litigators to come into court, both to petitioner in recent weeks and in her now resigned CAC attorney, Mr. Ingham, as set forth in his petition from last September. The petition from last September reads, on multiple occasions as recent as September 17th, 2020, Britney has requested that petitioner obtain the appointment of litigation counsel to assist but not replace petitioner in representing her interests in this proceeding. That regards Loeb and Loeb coming in to help counteract, again, the flying fleets of lawyers that Dad Spears has at his disposal. Petition, and when I say flying fleets of lawyers, yes, I do see the monkeys from The Wizard of Oz. That's what I hear when I say flying fleets of lawyers, like with little briefcases and that's how I see it. Petitioner therefore suggests the appointment of a larger firm will satisfy her indisputable right to choose counsel with the expertise and substantial resources necessary for this complex conservatorship. Notice of proceeding on July 7th at approximately 9:30 a.m. Petitioner's counsel, I think it's Kim Douglas Wright, not Wright Kim Douglas, but whatever, will give notice via email to all the people that notice needs to be given to. Copies will happen. And then this is the court reporter's transcript of the entire hearing. So this has been submitted to the court now. This is now a public record, but this is all of the hearing from the 23rd. So we're going to go look at what I think Ingham said at the end of this hearing. This is the beginning. I want to thank the parties. This is the court. I want to thank the parties for their patience while we work through technical issues and we've gotten them resolved. Before I get to appearances of counsel and other parties, I have some announcements. For the parties in Department 4, so those are the people that were in person, as well as the overflow courtroom in Department 1. I hadn't realized they did an overflow courtroom. There are to be no photos, no laptops, no phones of any natures, only pen, paper, and pencil. If you have that, that can be used for note-taking and recordings. And I am announcing this for the benefit of the parties in both the courtrooms, as well as those appearing on RAAP, which was the audio program that was broadcast that after this hearing was canceled, which is the remote audio attendance program. Recordings are prohibited. Of any kind are prohibited either in the courtroom here in Department 4, Department 1, or the parties appearing on RAAP. There is to be no live tweeting, no electronics, and again, no recording of the proceedings is permitted. They would have had people monitoring social media to see what was going on, and the law firms would have had people monitoring social media and would have seen that this was being shared out and distributed. So I'm going to get to the appearance of the parties. Let me go to the end because I want to see what Ingham said. And then if we need to make this transcript available, we can make it available. It's probably already up on Scribed, but I'm going to try to get to the end of this to see, because Ingham said to the court he would do all the things, and now he's just the fuck out. And now I don't have to rely on my memory and my notes at the end. Here we go. We've gotten to right after the recess. Ha! The court. Okay, so we're back from recess. And Ms. Thoreen, did you have something you wanted to say this afternoon? Ms. Thoreen, yes, Your Honor, thank you. I'd like to make a brief statement on Dad Spears' behalf. He is sorry to see his daughter suffering in so much pain. He loves his daughter and misses her. We talked about that. I just wanted to make sure I was at the right place. Let's see. Ingham, Your Honor, pardon me. I have an additional comment that my client has requested me to make to the court, if I may. Court, certainly, Ingham. Ingham, she just communicated with me, and her statement to me was that since she has made these remarks that she was able to make on public record today, she believes that it will be advisable for the proceedings to be sealed going forward. So between everything that happened with the recordings and this statement by Ingham, I don't think we're going to see another open public hearing for a very long time, if ever. Ingham said, and another quick comment I'll make before the court addresses what my client has said, and I would corroborate the comment of counsel that it obviously took a great deal of courage to present the comments that my client did on the record, and regardless of where the chips may fall for them, I applaud her for doing so. I just have a suggestion. I'd like to amplify my earlier suggestion with regard to going forward, and then obviously the court will decide what to do. Given the positive working relationship that I've had with Miss Spears over the years, and given the importance of the issue of counsel for her, one way to approach this would be for me to discuss with her, out of the glare of the courtroom, two important issues. One is whether she wants to have a petition to terminate filed, and the other is whether she wants to have private counsel, other counsel brought in to represent her. So why would you leave then? Do this first, then leave. Do this first, then you can go. Don't just bail. Obviously, I will abide by whatever decision she makes in that regard, and will file whatever she directs me to make. That's essentially what I thought he had said. So those are the ends of the motions. This will probably be up on Scribed. If not, I will see what I can do to make it available. And text messages. There were text messages. I forgot that the receipts. There are text messages attached. My bad. I forgot. I kept scrolling and I was like, oh, there's texts. Okay. These are Jodi Montgomery's texts. I think the blue is Jodi Montgomery speaking, it seems, and the red is Britney speaking. This is what it seems to be based on everything that was stated above. In order for me to stay and help support you, Jodi Montgomery, I must be sure to stay in my lane. Getting you a new attorney by filing with the court is the best legal approach. Your dad has excellent attorneys and you should too. True that. I know, but I want blah, blah, blah. And get a new lawyer. I can do both. Your new lawyer will do that. So whatever she's asking for that's been blacked out for privacy, her new lawyer can do that. This is whatever Jodi Montgomery said to her that's redacted for privacy. I need you to stay as my co-conservator of the person. I'm asking you for your assistance in getting a new attorney. Thank you for the help. You heard me yelling. Hello, Ponard. All right, not the mic. Jodi Montgomery then said, you must have your own representation and we will clear the way in court. It's not cool though. You're not giving me names, Jodi. Jodi can't give names. It would be inappropriate for her to do so. I don't have representation though. Jodi said, Sam is still your attorney until the court releases him. True. And then this is just the proof of services. So that's kind of a little glimpse into the back and forth of Britney really, really wanting a list of names so she can pick her own attorney, and Jodi Montgomery's trying to, and I think doing a good job of staying within her professional boundaries and staying in her lane, because if she oversteps those boundaries, then she would need to be removed. So I actually think this motion is a really good plan to appoint the guardian ad litem, let the guardian ad litem help Britney hire an attorney. That person is literally only there to protect her interests, to make sure she brings somebody on who is capable of handling this kind of case. Capacity or whatever aside, trying to find the proper attorney to handle a massive case like this, to do a good job for Britney, would take an attorney who has knowledge of the system to know what you're hiring. Any of you that have tried to hire counsel on something small will know how complicated it is, but on something big like this, you almost have to have the input of an attorney to help you do it, because it can be very complex, particularly if you don't know who you can trust. A guardian ad litem would be somebody that she could trust to do that. I quite like this motion from Jodi Montgomery. I hope that this is granted quickly and that Britney is able to hire her own counsel. We now have 2 motions to allow Britney to get her own counsel, and I think that that's the next step that I'm optimistic to see. Ingham not released just yet. Bessemer, cool your jets. Everything's going to have to pause until this issue of counsel is taken care of. So maybe not much will happen on the 14th. Maybe everything will pause and the issue of the attorney will get taken care of, and everything else will just have to wait. Because given these 2 motions, I think that's what I would do were I the court. Now, you probably have questions. I have questions. I'm sure I've missed chats. I have not been looking at the chat because your girl's ADHD and she gets distracted. So it's time. You have questions. I have questions. We have questions. Let's get to questions. I'm going to try to catch up with super chats. Hello, chat. I've missed you. I like this idea of appointing a guardian ad litem. No, I'm not on the list. I also don't live in California. I also still deal with PTSD from the last time I had police protection at my house. I am not a good choice for this. I am a good choice to keep an eye on what's going on and say, I like this motion, I don't like that motion, and to keep all of us informed. So I am optimistic with this. I'm going to pull up the super chats to make sure that I can get to the things that I missed, because I always try. I appreciate you supporting my channel in that way, and really do want to make sure that I get to those. But we will stay here for a bit and answer questions. I am not in a hurry. Fred's not in a hurry either. This cat is literally like, I've got like flat cat butt on my desk. This cat is just sprawled out. Hello, buddy. Hi. What do we think? Do we think this is a good idea? Oh, I can do a poll. I want to know how y'all feel about a guardian ad litem. Look, I've learned a new trick, and we're going to do it a lot. Let me see. All right. See, I have to type my own poll. I'm going to ask. I want to see what you guys think, if this is a good idea. Let's see. I know a few people who work as guardian ad litems. They are all great people, and literally it's their job to just do the one thing. I don't know if I can pronounce this at all. Hey, Brian? Hey, Brian, I don't know. Bree, for, and on, I don't know. I'm trying. If future hearings are sealed, will we still get minute orders? Yes, we will still get minute orders, but they will be limited. And we'll still see the probate notes, but they will be limited. So yes, but the motions aren't being sealed, so that's good. Jessica Smith, new sub here. Yay, hi. Glad I found you, as I find you more genuine and informative compared to other sources of info. Thank you. I try to make sure what I'm telling you is fact, and that when I tell you my opinion, you're very clear that this is just how Emily feels. Question, if Britney wins, can she sue to regain funds her dad used against her in court? No, she can't. Unless there was something done that was inappropriate. Like if there was fraud or something like that, then they can. But just for her dad hiring lawyers, no. Why did they not do this 14 years earlier? Well, Sam Ingham was getting paid $500,000 a year to do not a whole lot, which is always concerning. But her dad's legal team really fought against her getting her own attorney back in 2008 and 2009. That's covered in Framing Britney Spears quite well. And for a long time, her dad was on both sides of this thing. So her dad was the guardian of the don't you dare jump up on that chair. Don't you dare jump up on that chair. Her dad was the guardian of the person and the estate. This is the guardian of the person saying, this is what I want to see. And that is a new thing. So that's why. So let's see. Oh, hey, Brandon. Thank you. The name is, my mods can decode things better than I can. This is what we get. Don't jump on the chair. Stop encouraging Fred. He's going to distract me. All right. Can you cover Amanda Ensing versus Sephora? Courtney, that is up on the channel. I have covered it. I will be checking back in with it in a little bit, but yes, I have covered it initially. So that is up on the channel. You can search the channel by topic. Those things are all time-stamped because normally I do a couple cases in a particular stream and those will be broken down in there. But yes, it is. I actually think her face might be in my thumbnail, so it shouldn't be too hard to find. Let me get to the super chats that I missed. Yes, there are a lot of Sams in Britney's life. It's kind of like Erica Girardi and all the Toms. There's a lot of Toms in her life. I have a friend who has a lot of Mikes in her life. Like everybody is a Mike. Thank you so much. I don't think we have been demonetized just yet, but maybe we have. The poll is up and running. All right, let me get to these super chats I missed at the beginning and go through them as best as I can. 8th Wonder 71 said, please share your wisdom. What do you think of Trump suing YouTube, Twitter, and Facebook along with their CEOs for censorship? I haven't read it yet. I don't have thoughts yet. It's been a very busy Britney day. And yesterday I had appointments for my Erlin lenses, and then I had to find new glasses frames. So I have been busy. And there's a bunch of new stuff is happening in the Girardi case, and the Jen Shaw government response is due, and I'm trying to record that for the podcast. So I am not caught up. I'm behind. I have no idea what I think yet. I will take a look and tell you. I am always interested in talking tech censorship. I'm not always as interested as talking about Trump, but tech censorship is a very interesting thing. We were supposed to talk about the First Amendment on Tuesday, and then all of this stuff started popping off. Okay, you're fine. The weather is weird today, and this one has been a little codependent. Jean said, if Britney is under conservatorship, that makes her a vulnerable adult. Yes. If that is so, how can people do these things such as coercion? Well, coercion is a concern with a vulnerable person. So how can people just bail on her? Well, we'll see if the court lets them do it. Elise Couture said, love your content and conversations on many levels and your way of saying things. That is an absolute mood on so many levels, depending on the context. Thank you. I know that is a past tweet, but yes, a past super chat from way earlier in the stream, but thank you. Elise Couture, said, nope, I got that one. Melissa B said, extra Emily, yay, Brit catching up to the Girardis. I mean, this case is moving quick right now, and I'm very, very interested to see what happens. Jean Hartosh says, accusations of abuse to a vulnerable adult are investigated by the DDA. Client is removed from the accused until closed. What makes this different? She just made a sheriff's report, and so the sheriffs are investigating. Once the sheriffs investigate, they can refer it to the district attorney's office. This would be in Ventura County, I believe, because that should be, Ventura County Sheriff's is where Thousand Oaks is. So we will see what happens, but there is, or seems to be, an investigation. Casey said, could Britney file a complaint with the bar against Sam Ingham for not filing things promptly, not informing her of her rights, and quitting suddenly? I think that's something she would need to talk to new counsel about, to go through the entire circumstance. Is that something that I ever want to give input on? No, because I don't know all the circumstances, and we don't know all the circumstances. So it just really depends. But that is something not only can she discuss with a guardian ad litem, she can discuss with Jodi Montgomery, and she can discuss with new counsel. And I'm sure when she is allowed to hire counsel, because I think she will be allowed to hire her own counsel, they will look at everything that has been done and why. And that is a very good thing. Lori P said, I was never really a Britney fan, but this poor woman deserves better. Oh, it doesn't matter if you're a fan or not. No human deserves this. No human deserves what Britney's going through. There's so many questions. There is so much money involved. There is so many opportunities for interest and well wishes to be twisted by money. And this has gone on long enough. Britney has had enough. She's made it clear she's had enough. Along we go. Cassie asked, is there a protocol in place for anyone under a conservatorship to have random investigations? No, the court's supposed to do that to make sure they're not being abused. The courts are supposed to be doing that. The courts are supposed to be looking at the attorney's report, supposed to be looking at the filing reports. So what is going on and what the court has seen in Sam Ingham's reports, we don't know. But the new attorney will also be able to look at all of Ingham's reports to the courts over the years, and then go back and talk to Britney about what was going on there, and go back and talk to, it'd be hard to talk to Dad, but talk to Jodi Montgomery over the last 2 years at least. Hey, this is what's in the court-appointed attorney report. Does this jive with what you've been seeing over the last few years? Austinite Swifty says, I'm so glad I found you. Do you think it's possible that the FBI would get involved? If she made a report to the sheriffs, as reported by A, the New Yorker article, and B, photos that were taken of her leaving the sheriff's department, is it possible that they could get the FBI involved in that investigation? Possibly, but it's really a local jurisdiction issue. I don't know if they would be needed unless the sheriff's department needed that assistance, but they could also get that assistance from DA investigators and investigators that deal in this particularly, so maybe. Code Curmudgeon said, Britney hire salts. I don't know. Well, I don't know if the salts firm would want to take this, or if they would have, this is substantial. I mean, maybe as associated counsel, but they need a large firm. And that's exactly what Jodi Montgomery was asking for, was a fairly large firm. Jordan, thank you for the super chat that said, love you, appreciate it. Elise Couture said, liked her as a kid, noped out when I was like 8, and now no, I had that feeling given recent events. Also said 20 some odd years ago. I had that feeling. Jordan, resign. Don't want to get caught up in the immoral, dirty stuff. Maybe that's why Ingham's doing it. Jay Mickady. Ingham is a jerk for taking her money for 13 years and when she needs him bailing out. Can the judge tell him no? Yes, the judge can tell him no. Hell no. Or you just answered my question. Yay! Jordan said, how is it that she's only worth 60 million? Really, let's get real here. More like 250 million. You've got to remember that in 3 months, Dad Spears' attorneys spent $800,000 in legal fees. And this has been going on, not always at that rate, but she's been paying legal fees up one side and down the other for 13 years. So though she has made substantial money, she has spent, or her estate has spent substantial money, which is why I was so optimistic about Bessemer Trust looking into this. Jamie said, why does Britney's money pay for Dad Spears' attorney? Because the estate of the estate, the conservatorship estate pays for the attorneys of the conservator, the conservator of the person, the court-appointed attorney. So the estate funds all of the workings of the estate, and that includes those attorneys. Heather Moore said, isn't there an alternative to conservators? There are, but she has to get out of this first. And they didn't do that at the beginning. Sarcastic Superhero Girl said, did Ingham give a reason? No, but I think Jodi Montgomery might have in her motion. I think we got a little hint of that. Azriel said, I finally caught actually live. Yay. I'm sawing a huge roll of paper 150 meters long with a hacksaw. I needed entertainment for the next hour of work. Well, hopefully you're done working by now because I've been talking for well over an hour. Uncivil Law, thank you for the super chat with the Britney lyric that said, I am a slave for you. Appreciate it. I feel like that song has taken on all new meaning. A lot of Britney songs have. There's some of it I just can't listen to because it makes me so sad. Lucky makes me sad. Overprotected makes me sad. It's just sad. Butterfly Away One Girl said, what happens if she runs out of money? Oh, everybody would just magically disappear and maybe they'd let her out of the conservatorship. Everybody's making a lot of money off this thing. Couldn't they make sure Britney gets reimbursed for all the money she spends in court? No. The estate spends the money. Heather Moore said, what are we experiencing the essence of? Sunlight is the best disinfectant. I don't know what we were talking about when that came up, so I apologize. Oh my God, it's Dana said, Jodi is over here like I volunteer as tribute. Yeah, Jodi definitely took Thor's hammer and is running with it. And Sam is hiding under the stage. I don't know what Sam's doing. Tia Sabo said, it just means Emily needs to go to California and it could be a business expense. I mean, I will be in California later this month. That'll be good. Jax 576 said, what do you think the odds are the judge leaves Dad Spears in sole charge of the financials and appointing Jodi M permanently? I think that all of this is going to pause until Britney gets another attorney. So Heather said, what is this disability they are saying Britney has? They are saying that under the statutory definition of disability, she qualifies because that would have been determined earlier in the conservatorship. They are never going to explicitly state what it is because it would be inappropriate for them to do so. Those are documents that are under seal in this conservatorship. And it could be a laundry list of things that I'm not going to speculate on because I don't think that's helpful. Kate B said, two-part question. Can the judge easily end the conservatorship? No. Victims of Tom can collect payments from Erica. What does that mean? So with regard to the Girardi stuff, under the bankruptcy court, there is a stay, which means everything literally stays in the bankruptcy court. What the court has done is said you can go outside of the stay and sue Erica outside of the bankruptcy court to start going, or it could be a lift of the stay to sue within the bankruptcy court. I think it's outside the bankruptcy court, but we'll talk about it Friday, to go after Erica for potential assets that she might have. So it gives them some rights, but it is a thorough legal proceeding that we will break down on Friday. We had to take a minute to get back to this. And we should get, what day is it? We should be getting because they extended the time for Ron Richards to respond, and we should be getting to that soon next week too. Jesse said, question, tangent on why you don't like it, Ingham. I want all the thoughts. Also, this is my first ever super chat. I love you. Thank you for the super chat. I don't like the way I think I got into it. I don't like the way the procedure went. I don't like the way it feels. I don't like the way that Ingham is trying to bounce. It does not sit well with me. It does not make sense to me. And if it's just because of the death threats, look, it happens. keep moving. It will be okay. Unless something substantial happened and we don't know about it. Karen Wallace said, I think without the public release of the hearing recording, all these attorneys would still be very slow walking records, and Britney would still be exactly nowhere. Yay for the recording release. I understand the feeling. I think having people listen in and having the world's media listen in would probably have given everyone an idea of what Britney said. I think that the recording being illegally re-recorded and re-released is going to make things harder to have transparency in the future, and that makes me sad. Talking to spirits and laughing. I hope Britney smokes them all. Her money, her life. Agreed. Except smokes with like metaphorical, not like sages them out of her life, not like smokes in the actually kills them all, because we don't want that for Britney. Savannah Street said, do you think Sam resigning was a tactic to force the court's hand at allowing Britney her own picket counsel? I don't think so, because he could have helped her pick and then they wouldn't need a guardian ad litem. He said in that transcript that he was willing to help her hire counsel, and he could have done that. Sorry, my lips are getting all... We need more gloss. I've been talking way too long. Mona, thank you very much. I'm going to keep getting into these as much as I can. Enchanted Wing said, I had a class with a Natalie, a Natasha, and a Natalia. A lot of chaos ensued. I actually, in my training class for the DA's office, there was an Andrea, an Andrea, and an Andrea, but they were all spelled the same. And, it was very interesting keeping track, but it was good. Stuff jumped. I'm going to go back and make sure I didn't miss anything. Kristen Martin said, can she sue the court and judges for allowing this to happen? Does this not break her constitutional civil rights? We don't know, because it depends on what the court knows, unfortunately. And without knowing what the court knows, it's hard to say. It's just hard to say. This is the question, right? What does the court know? And if we get somebody else looking into this, then will at least somebody have these answers? Because if what the court's doing is reasonable, giving the information that they have, it doesn't feel reasonable to us. It could be legally reasonable for the court to be acting the way they're acting based on the information that they have. And if that's the case, then there's nothing to sue over, because a conservatorship is exactly what this is. A conservatorship strips someone of their legal rights, ostensibly for their own protection, because they are in some way impaired or vulnerable or both. So clearly that's not how Britney feels. Jodi's motion makes it seem like she's looking out for Britney's wishes, but isn't she the one preventing her from getting the IUD out? We don't know. So I don't know if Jodi has not allowed that. I don't know. Hey, Natalie Lawyer Chick, good to see you. It's time for this to end and the laws to change. Yes, maybe they should call the Spears Law. I mean, the not being able to hire your own attorney is definitely an issue. And I think an issue for most people. I get it. If you can't financially do that, you can get a court-appointed attorney. But in this case, not being able to hire a counsel when you clearly have the money to do so is a problem for me too. Let me see. I missed a few of these and I apologize. Thank you guys for the support. I appreciate it. I'm trying to keep up. Avaloma, you told me how to pronounce it. I hope I didn't get it wrong this time. If future hearings are sealed, how much do you think will leak to TMZ? A lot. I think stuff will still leak. Douglas Stevens said, questions. Could it be that Sam didn't do the things to keep that pay coming in? I really fucking hope not, but anything is possible. And money can be a very interesting factor in stuff like this. And that's unfortunate. I mean, 8 months ago, if somebody had said, hey, Tom Girardi, this super famous lawyer, was, never giving his clients their settlement funds, I would have been like, lawyers wouldn't do that. And I would have been wrong. So I hope not, but anything's possible. And it is a lot of money. And that's one client. That's $500,000 a year on one client. That's a lot of money. Kevin Kimball said, does it seem like Jodi Montgomery's the only person who actually has Britney's best interest at heart? Seems like everyone else just values the money. She's the newest one to this party. And I think, if this conservatorship ends, her death threats also stop. So she's like, I just want to do what Britney wants and be done. I hope she's in Britney's corner. Nope, Ninja, can you do Galaxy hair for 150K? We talked about Galaxy hair. Did we talk about it at 250K? I feel like we have to do something at 150K. We're 10K away. Adam McIntyre's 10K away from 200K, which is also exciting. All right, let me get to some of these. I think there will be an investigation into the dad at some point, I think, especially if we get a new one. Mr. Unicorn, good to see you. Do you think, there's animals outside and my cat just went all Halloween cat. It's okay. They're outside. Those bad rabbits. All right. He hasn't seen the giant turkeys yet. The turkeys are much larger than Fred is. Do you think Jodi's phone is just filled with John Does and Jane Does? How does she remember who's who? I wonder if she has a note or if she has a different color icon for the different callers. But yes, I think her work phone probably does have people listed as John Doe and Jane Doe for their protection. I think it probably does. So Luke asks, why couldn't Britney just bribe her way out of this given how much money and power she has? Britney doesn't have access to her own money. She doesn't have any power. And the person who's holding her in it is the person making the most money, in my opinion. So I don't think there's much Britney can do. I think getting a guardian ad litem is a good path. I really do. Question, if Dad Spears has had his lawyers doing stuff for him and his PR not for Britney, could he have to pay back costs? Yes, but the appropriate thing to do is what's happening and supposed to happen on the 14th. I think it's going to get pushed. But having the accountings go to all the lawyers and the court, and then you can make objections. So they're objecting to it. And if those line items are found to not be appropriate for the estate to pay, then he will have to pay those fees himself. So question, is there anything APS could do in regards to alleged abuse by conservators? Britney has apparently reported abuse to the sheriffs. And so that investigation has probably started. So we will see what happens with the sheriff's department getting involved. We'll see. And then I think I'm caught up. Can she make a new LLC or estate separate from what her dad has control of? Probably not at this point. In the future, perhaps, but right now, all of her contracts, everything goes under the estate that she manages. And I don't think she would have the capacity determined by the court. I'm not saying she's not capable, but under the court, I don't think they would even allow her to do that. And the conservatorship would then dissolve it, saying that this was done inappropriately. So, Kristen said, can she see the court judges? We talked about that one. You guys, I'm going to try to get to a few more questions, but I know we've been live for almost 2 hours. I am going to do my best to get to them. I know it's a busy live with a lot of us here, and I will try my best. If Britney was able to petition to end the conservatorship and become independent of her person and her estate, could she file a lawsuit for involved members getting the $800K back and put her down in jail? It's really, really hard for me to speculate because there's so much that we don't know. Britney's clearly very frustrated, and that's kind of my focus on let's get other attorneys in here and other eyes on this to see what's next and hope that if they see anything that's inappropriate, that they will deal with it. That was my hope with Bessemer Trust too. And I hope that they are in charge of her books. I think having her own counsel, having Bessemer Trust and getting her dad out from being involved is the first step that we need here. So that's what I think. Palette Cleanser, love you and the mods. Thank you, Karen. And tons of thanks to our mods. The members now have mod love emojis that they can use. Thank you for the mods for riding an extra ride. They have been busy nights, and we've talked about difficult topics that we all feel very passionately about. I have cat hairs on my lip, I think. It could be mine. Jess said, honestly, Britney Spears needs to get out of her conservatorship because she is fully recovered and there's no reason to keep her being. Well, the court will decide that, and we'll see what they say. The thing is, if she wants to get out without an evaluation, that might be a little bit more difficult. So the court and her attorney are going to have to balance what she wants with what is appropriate. So that is a big deal. It's so good to see all the love for the mods in the chat. Thank you, chat. I'm going to try to get to a few more questions. Why did the judge deny the removal of her father recently? That was in November. and they were trying to remove her dad and replace him with Bessemer Trust. The court said, no, we're bringing in Bessemer Trust as a co-conservator. The court denied a bunch of Jamie Spears's motions to not let Bessemer have equal control. Bessemer got access to equal control, which is fantastic. But that didn't get signed until June 30th. So this was done in November. So the court ruled that in November. And at the time, the court said, look, this is without prejudice. If you want to bring a motion to remove Dad Spears down the road, you can do that. But we need Bessemer Trust to come on. This is a complex estate, and it doesn't benefit the conservatorship or the estate to remove one and bring in another. There needs to be an overlap to ensure the protection of the estate. Luke, thank you so much. It has been a very, very interesting case to cover. It has definitely picked up. I have podcast episodes going back on this conservatorship a year. So there are 2 audio only episodes that are in the playlist too here. I think I put them up in the playlist with just the cover of my podcast on it. But I have coverage of this going back a year. So if you guys want to get caught up to speed, we don't need to groom ourselves on camera though. If you want to get caught all the way back up, it's been a lot. It's been a lot. Question, now that Jodi has stated and shown that Britney wants her, is that something the judge can look at when considering Bessemer's filing? There are going to have to be hearings on it, and Britney's going to have to be clear. And I think Britney wants things to change, but she might also recognize that she wants Jodi Montgomery to help her. She wants her own attorney first, and she wants her dad out first. It might be that the court needs to ask Britney to put in order what she would like to do, because the court's not just going to end the conservatorship tomorrow. That's not, I think, in the best interest after a 13-year conservatorship. I don't agree that it should be like one day we're here, one day we're out. I think this will be phased. I think the first goals for me have always been to get her dad out of the thing. Let people look at what's going on, step down the control of the person, and then start moving forward. And then work towards removing the conservatorship. Jodi Montgomery said in a recent statement released by her attorneys that it is her intention to work towards ending the conservatorship of the person. Whether the conservatorship of the state needs to end or not down the road, I don't know if Britney will give a shit if her dad's not in charge of her money. If she's dealing with Bessemer Trust and they're like, go to Hawaii, whatever, it's your money. We'll help give you guidance, but really you can spend how you want. Then I think maybe she won't be so annoyed with all of this. So we're going to have to see what happens with that. I'm going to make sure I didn't miss any super chats. Joy, thank you so much. Love listening to your knowledge and thoughts on all this legalese. It is quite a lot of stuff. It is quite complex. I promised I would sweep the court filings. Diva's like, do not say that out loud. But I'm going to look and make sure nothing else was done or filed. The only thing I would expect would be perhaps the court saying that some of those hearings are going to get bounced onto the 14th. Thank you all for the super chats. I mocked up some flying monkey lawyers for you. I will try to hit that link for sure. And if you don't mind, Julie, also DM it to me, or the mods can copy it for me so I have it. Thank you. Talking to Spirits, Laughing with Ghosts. I feel like it would have been cheaper for Britney to just spend her money instead of paying all these people who are making bank off of her the last 14 years. Sheesh. Yeah, sheesh. It's some shit, isn't it? I think at the beginning, and I say this in my other content, at the beginning, I think there were fairly some concerns. There were some legal issues the estate was dealing with, and I think they stabilized the estate. This going on for so long is of concern. And I think on the 14th, they're going to deal with the attorney issue first, and then everything else is going to get kicked down the road with when we're going to hear Bessemer leaving. I think the court, Fred, stop knocking stuff over. I think the court's going to say everything pauses until we deal with counsel. And that, I think, is what's going to happen. So let me just take a look. Me? Sure. Nothing new. Yay! Nothing new. Yay! This last court order we've already seen. We already talked about this court order. It's just pushing things to the 14th. Yay! See? When I said I had cat hair, lip gloss meet cattail. So we will see what happens from here. I will keep you updated on social media. If you are new here, thank you for being new here. If it's your first live, go ahead and put a 1 in the chat so we can see that it's your first live. Thank you for being here. You can follow me on social, Emily D. Baker, the Emily D. Baker everywhere. Tech was telling me my poll's still open. I can't find it. Like, it's so far that I can't see it. So I can't see my poll. It disappeared. It disappeared on my end. So I can't close it. I'm sorry that I can't close the poll. I don't know where it went. I don't know where it went. Oh, there we go. Thank you. Thank you for closing it. Do you think the Guardian ad litem is good at this point? Yes, 85%, no, 14%, 1.8K votes. Thank you all. So yay. Thank you to everybody who's new. I appreciate you for finding your first chat. We're not stopping the ones, Matthew. That's everybody who's new. Flying monkey totes. Hello. Well, thank you, everybody who's finding us live for the first time. I appreciate it. This case has gotten wild, and it's going to be wild between now and the 14th. And we are going to be here to see what's going on. Will Dad fight Britney getting her own counsel? Well, he's trying to get rid of Jodi Montgomery. It feels like he's gotten rid of everyone else who's been there to help Britney. So I don't know if he will or if he won't, but we'll definitely see it, because if he does, he'll have to file something. He's fought it before. I don't know if he can fight it this time. The appointing of the Guardian ad litem makes a whole lot of sense to me, and I really like it. So I dig it. I dig it. I think it's a good idea. I really do. You guys, that's a lot of coverage on Britney today. I will be live on Friday. If anything else pops up, I'll tell you about it on Twitter. I have stuff tomorrow, so I will not be live tomorrow. If anything really happens and I need to address it quickly, I will address it on social media, on Twitter, on Instagram, and show you guys what the court does if the court does anything. But yeah, I otherwise will not be live until Friday. The mods have stuff to do. I have stuff to do. And ow, you fell. You tried, and then you fell. Nichelle, I will be posting that on Instagram, and we will talk about what I picked, because it is very close. There needs to be a 24/7 Britney coverage network. I mean, there are definitely a lot of Twitter accounts that keep it going, but court is closed now. I don't expect to see anything else tonight. So I will be checking in with you all in the morning. Thank you for being here. Thank you for being Law Nerds. I appreciate you. I appreciate the support of the channel. Don't forget to do the YouTubey things, the likey, subscribey stuff. And I will see you all Friday for Friday Night Live. I'm sure there will be more Britney stuff, and there is a lot of housewife stuff. And there's other lawsuits happening too, like the Ace family. So we're going to have to get there too. I will see you all in the next one. Thank you for being here. Connect with me everywhere. I'm at the Emily D. Baker. If you guys want to join the text, just text Emily.com. If you want to join the channel, lawnerdsunite.com. Happy to have you. Support what we do here on the YouTube.